What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the More Than a Side Hustle podcast, where we help 9-to-5ers create more impact, income, and influence. My name is Anthony.
And I am Janoka. We want to thank you for coming back week after week and listening to us for over 2 years. If you didn't know, you can subscribe to watch us on YouTube, or be sure to drop a review as you listen to us on Apple, Spotify, Google, Yahoo, any of those.
Well, we can't say week after week because you guys saw we've been off the last couple weeks, and I don't want to say off as in we haven't been producing content, but we haven't been producing the live production as you see here, right? And number one, I don't apologize for that. I think we're going 2 years strong every single week has been well deserved, but I think that we haven't been putting as much emphasis on pushing just the content here. Because it's like we do the YouTube lives, we do the Instagram lives. Like, these are all pieces of content that may or may not be seen as a podcast episode, like a sit-down discussion. But these are more than enough
content.
So we've been able to take our YouTube, like we just had one of our six-figure students do. If you guys listen to that, we thank you. But we did a whole conversation with our six-figure students, and now that wasn't a sit-down produced podcast, but we took that and
put it out there.
Put it in podcast form.
And to be clear, the episodes that we talk about the cleaning business get the highest views, get the highest downloads. Despite us not only wanting to talk about the cleaning business, you guys dictate that you guys like that information. So we put that out there. But I'm going to read a review, and this is from Coco093. I thank you for listening and writing us a review. We always appreciate those. Yes, they named it amazing with multiple exclamation points. The Heart Talks are authentic and fun to listen to. Appreciate them sharing the ebb and flow of business, family, and everything in between. Highly recommend, and this podcast to become a part of my weekly motivation to grow and develop as an entrepreneur. So thank you, Coco093, once again, and good luck on your entrepreneurship journey.
Yes, you guys can leave us a review, and we will always try to read them, especially live. So This episode is going to be about 10 business lessons we learned over the past few weeks. But before we get to that, I want to thank you guys. You guys know that Janoka did her last podcast episode by herself. And that was so well received. Number one, I congratulate you for doing that. I know it wasn't easy. And we haven't had a sit down conversation after the episode since.
Not on camera, obviously.
Not on camera. Friends, family, and
people have reached out, wrote comments.
You know what? I want to stay on that for a little bit.
Okay, you looking around.
No,
we got notes for a podcast.
We have
looking
notes
like you about to ditch the episode.
I might, but I want to talk about this for a little bit because that was your first episode, and this is kind of like me interviewing you. But I want to congratulate you.
You interviewed me before, though.
I did. Yeah, I want to congratulate you on doing your own solo episode. How'd you feel?
It didn't feel as nervous as it didn't feel as nerve-wracking as I thought it was going to be. One, for it being solo, and then two, the topic of it. If you didn't listen to, it was a topic of fertility issues that we faced last year to get us here where we are now. Over 6 months pregnant. That was hard to get it. I think it was I was more concerned really of doing a solo episode because I've never done it without you.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, is it going to be too short? Is it going to be too long?
You were overthinking it before you even started.
I know. When I started, I was overthinking. And then I was also thinking about, am I sharing details that people aren't really going to want to hear or care about?
Well, based on the reactions, people were caring.
Yeah, people were caring. But I think the double-edged sword of it was that it wasn't just a podcast for me. It also was a way for me to tell close family and friends, so all details mattered. So it was like, even if someone that didn't know me is like, I don't need to hear this part, I didn't really care because I'm like, there's other people listening that do care. Yeah. So it was good. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be.
It was one of our more higher viewed YouTube videos too. Now I know family and friends were sharing it and stuff like that, but I definitely commend you for sharing those intimate details. And I know you guys come on the show and you guys are expecting, the business, the entrepreneurship, but then you're also expecting the life. And I know a lot of you guys probably didn't expect us to go that detailed on our life, but it is literally what we're going through as we are building these businesses, as we are raising our kids. And that was just that has been a part of our journey to continue to show up and still deliver value and still deliver things that you guys want to see. So that was a big part of our journey.
Which is always funny to me because I know sometimes we've dealt with many business owners and some people say, well, life has happened and things have happened. And I'm like, baby, you don't even know the half of what's happening over here. But I can't let me rephrase that. I choose to just not show up because I'm a business at the end of the day. Some people ain't going to care what I got going on. It's like it's a balance of having leniency and being like, this person's a human, but at the same time, people want what they paid for or showed up for. So that's always a hard. And I'm like, there's mad at the businesses that just be like, yeah, life happened. Sorry, I couldn't respond for 2 weeks. But yeah, it was what it was, and balancing it all. I think it makes it easier because it's two of us. So
yeah.
If it was just me by myself, maybe I would be like those business owners.
No, that's a good
don't
point.
Say anything.
Now, and I want to rephrase that by saying, because people use that as I don't want to say a crutch, but they always say it's two of you guys, right? So when we talk about Cleaning Business University and some of our students who are 6-figure earners or even 7-figure earners at this point, a lot of them are couples, right? Now, we do have single people inside Cleaning Business University who's doing extremely well.
Yeah.
But it does make it a lot easier when you have that person to balance you.
A partner doesn't even have to be your significant other.
Where you have that person to balance you, where things aren't going well. It's like, all right, well, I can't show up. Now, who's going to show up for me? So there's instances where you can't show up or I can't show up. We could kind of pick and choose.
Yeah. But I think the other side of it is if I did not have you to show up, I probably would still have to. Right? I would
work.
Consider it at least. I keep saying I have to still. I would consider, or I would say that I'm going to make it because it's a business once again, and people are paying me or people are looking to me for information. So if you couldn't do it, I would have to suck it up and do it even though I didn't want to, right? So that's the difference of what I think about if I didn't have you or you didn't have me. It's like, well, I'm going to still have to do it. Regardless if I'm in the best mood today, I'm going to still show up. So,
and coincidentally enough, when this episode drops, it will be our 8th year anniversary.
Yeah, so congratulations on that as well.
So
making it 8 years.
So what have you learned over the last 8 years of marriage?
No. You can't put me on the spot for that. I got to write my notes out for that. I mean, that's what the episode should have been.
That's what it's about right now. So what have you learned over the last 8 years of marriage? So my friend had asked me, he was like, have you guys ever thought about calling it quits? And it's funny, I had lunch with my frat brother too. And we were just talking about divorce and, marriage. And he was like, yeah, I guess one of our older frat brothers had recently got divorced. It was like 20 years. And I was like, well, I think we're still in the honeymoon phase. I think at 20 years, you're no longer in that honeymoon phase. So I was like, ask me again in 20 years how I feel about, marriage. But I still, this is your topic. You said marriage is not hard. Why'd you say that?
Because there's a TikTok going around and people are stitching it where a woman is asking, I've always heard marriage is hard. Can you explain why? People are kind of making a joke out of it at this point. But they're saying things like marriage is hard because my husband leaves his pants on the floor all the time. Like they're making that type of joke or whatever. But I was saying, I saw somebody explain that
was the premise of the TikTok?
That was the premises. Somebody just asking, can you explain why marriage is hard? And most people were answering seriously. I don't need that close. No. Most people were answering seriously as to why they feel it's hard. And then people started making a joke out of it of like little things. Marriage is hard because I plan everything for my husband, tell him what he needs, and he still shows up and forgets his sneakers. Like whatever. Like just little jokes they were saying where people can resonate with because a lot of men operate the same.
So think about that. Like that TikTok is true. Marriage, that part of marriage isn't hard, but it does become
frustrating. Yeah.
And then it is like when you got a cut on your arm and you don't treat the cut, then it grows into an infection. Then it's like you got to cut the whole arm off.
So then I would do a TikTok for you. If they were, my response would be the woman saying, well, why is marriage hard? Marriage is hard because I put all the events on the calendar and the day before, a day of, my husband asks, what are we doing that day?
That is definitely what's the case.
Next, or what time is something starting? So like that. Yeah. That would be my thing. But the serious side of it was that I didn't feel that marriage was or is actually hard.
Okay.
I think it's a conversation that happens all the time that you hear with people about marriage being difficult. And I don't know that I necessarily agree. I think relationships can be difficult. I think that you can go through ups and downs, but I don't find marriage itself to be hard. Now, some people may be in the comments upset about that, and that's okay. Yep. But the type of relationship that we have built. Now, this could be because we have a coach that makes a joke that we were playing in the sandbox, but we've known each other for probably 25 plus years now.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to be 36 at the end of this year. So you do the math. So we've known each other for a really, really long time. That could be because of that. Communication style, things like that. How well you've known my family and friends for a long time could play a part in everything. I'm not saying no. But I don't find marriage to be hard. I wouldn't be one to necessarily say that. I think you work towards it like any relationship. You work to maintain your friendships. Mm-hmm. And I know it's different because like you're not living with a friend. So someone could say, and then children come into play and it becomes like that. But it's just, I think it's just part of it going up and down. I really wouldn't describe it as hard.
So let's outline some things that you can learn about being married, because I think this would be a perfect episode to talk about that.
What are the pros, basically?
No, not the pros or cons. It's just about things that you learn throughout the time of being married. So one of the things that I got here is just communication. So
yeah,
that's any relationship.
But I think that also falls on personality for so many people too. When it comes to communication,
you have to be communication when it comes to any relationship. Even when we're talking about service providers, the first thing we tell every single service provider we've ever worked with, whether it's ads, whether it's emails, whether it's social media, whether it's whatever.
Doesn't matter in any capacity.
We are very upfront when it comes to communication. We say exactly what we expect, what we don't expect, how we expect to be communicated with, so that when the time comes, we can say, well, we told you so.
Or we discussed this and this didn't happen. Yeah, we are very straightforward.
Learning to express your thoughts. So
yeah, learning to express your thoughts, communicate. Like I've always remember, even though my mother wasn't married, but I always remember her saying like, you never go to bed mad at the person. So that was in my household as well with me. It's not like I could go to sleep mad at her. So if even, I don't know, there was a disagreement or something, there was always, all right, you still sitting down having dinner together after you just yelled at me or whatever. We still sitting down at dinner together. And all right, what we watching on TV? So that's something that I carry into this relationship as well. Like not going to bed upset with you at all in any capacity. Like we're going to say it. Maybe we say we'll get back to it, but at least we get it out in some shape or form. You don't always have to say it in the moment because the setting may be, or you may need to think about it, but it's important for us to make sure that we still communicate with each other, especially as we continue to go on, especially as we continue to have kids, because that's going to be even more important, getting on the same page with all those things as well.
One of the things you just mentioned and I thought was what I think everyone should take away from that communication part. You said something. You just said you don't always have to express the way you feel in the moment, meaning it might not be the right time to say that thing. Mm-hmm. So, for example, let's say, I don't know, I had said something recently and you was like, I don't like that. I forgot what it was. Mm-hmm. It might have been about weight or something. You were trying to fit something on, and I had mentioned like, that might not be the fit for you just based on where you are. Something like, it wasn't like nasty or rude, but it was like, it probably wasn't the right time to talk about your weight while you were trying to fit into something.
That doesn't, first of all, let me tell you something. When you're pregnant, a lot of things don't even look good on you, so I don't want to hear it.
So that probably wasn't the right time to say about the weight gain, because obviously you're pregnant, but it would have been, like, I probably could have been like, that's not the fit based on the situation.
Yes, and that's fine. I'm fine to hear something like that.
So knowing, it's not only about knowing what to say, it's about knowing when to say it. So that's the communication part.
And how you say it, which is also a big thing with people. The communication part. Yeah, I think communication is key, but it's such a specific thing that a lot of people don't have. And when you just speak to other people and you're like, well, why don't you just say that? Or why didn't you just tell the person that? Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, I did, or I didn't feel like it. And I think so much things can be resolved just based off of communication. And I would say it doesn't always have to be verbal, right? I know that for me, once again, it was me and my mother growing up. And sometimes I didn't want to or maybe feel comfortable saying it. I would write it down on a note and like leave it on top of the toilet or or on the table.
You wrote your mother notes?
Yeah. I would write notes. And
we all communicate differently.
Express. So. It depends on what I wanted to say.
You used to write me notes too.
I used to write you notes too. I know. I remember that. It just depends on what I wanted to say. Exactly. Yeah. And maybe in the moment I didn't feel like saying it or whatever, but I still wanted to express if it hurt me, got me upset, or I'm sorry or whatever. That's what I would do. So it doesn't always have to be verbal. You can send an email at this point or send a text.
Yeah.
And then have a conversation after. So there's different ways you can go about it. And I think understanding your partner's way as well, that compromise, because I know a lot of people say they're the ones that want to talk about it immediately, and like their partner wants to wait 3 days.
That's number two,
how
compromise.
How do you handle that part of it?
Marriage requires finding middle ground and making compromises to accommodate each other's needs and preferences.
Yeah, negotiate. Yeah.
What was the question? Like you see young dudes and they feel like, well, marriage means that you can't do. You see young people like marriage means that you can't do what you want to do anymore. And I think about marriage very similar to like budgeting. It's not you saying that you can't spend your money. It's about you telling your money how it's going to be spent. So when it comes to marriage and compromise, it's not saying that you can't do what you want to do. It's now you coming to a compromise on how things are going to be done as a unit versus I can't go out anymore. It's like, no, it's not that you can't go out.
You can.
Now you have to be able to be understanding of how this impacts the other person. Yeah. So if you're going to go out, that's fine. But are you going to go out and stay out all night?
Yeah. Are you out till 4 a.m.? Are you out multiple times a week?
It's like, even if you are out till 4 a.m., that's fine. But are you doing it every single night? And if you are and that's okay, then that's fine. But if you are and it's not okay, you have to know how to compromise during that time, because it's not saying that you can't do it. Are you doing it every night? Are you doing it every other night? Are you doing it every week or every quarter or once a year? So determining how you're going to compromise in those situations. I think it's a big one, especially when it comes to young people. Compromise is good, big,
and once again, and this whole conversation really, everybody's household is different. I should say in that everybody's household operates differently. But I do think there is some type of, when you speak about like the going out and stuff, there is some type of like etiquette with marriage. Yeah. There is an unspoken rule with certain things. Of example, you can't, but it's very weird for a married person to be out 3 days a week till 4 a.m. I'm just gonna say, I don't care if your wife or husband agrees to it.
Unless you're a DJ or like
okay, but how many DJs are there? There's not many DJs.
We might have a DJ listening to the podcast.
I don't even know many DJs that are married.
I was gonna say one, but I don't want that to come back. And
you know somebody?
No, just a big name DJ. Never mind. Continue.
Okay. Oh, DJ. Okay, yeah, he is married. I forgot, but I don't even know if he really DJ. Whatever. The point is,
that's my envy.
Oh, DJ Envy. Oh, I was talking about Cali.
But if you're there's certain circumstances when it's expected, but I'm sure he's not doing that every single night.
Yes. But the point is, I think there is etiquette when it comes to marriage in some capacity, and having those conversations is really, really important. I just thought about another TikToker.
Is it etiquette or is it compromise? What's a TikTok? You and these TikToks.
Well, it's good information.
Go ahead.
Well, she primarily just talks about the cost of living with kids. But her conversation, she lives in Boston. Her conversation became the expectations that people, us as a society, put onto women, right? Okay. And I think I sent you one. You was like, do I need to take anything from this? do I need to have any takeaways from this?
That's communication. You sent me a TikTok, and it was like, this is not the best TikTok to be sent.
Yeah. It was just showing
you. Think, am I doing something wrong? Takeaway for me.
And I said, no, it was a thank you.
Oh, okay.
So one part of her TikTok was just about expectations and certain things she doesn't do in her household, which is fine. She says like she doesn't book her husband's appointments, like doctor's appointments. She doesn't do his laundry. There's certain things she doesn't do. And people were in an uproar.
Doctor's appointments. I do the laundry.
People were in an uproar with some of the things she said she doesn't do.
We split the laundry.
Right. So she said they do the kids' laundry, but they do their own thing, whatever. So she was saying, yes, there are times where my husband is coming home late or whatever, and I will do it or I will make an appointment. But it's not my responsibility to do these things, which society brings onto women, that it's my responsibility to do it. And so that's what people were really upset with some of the things that she was saying. But she's just like, I'll do it if I have to, but I don't necessarily have to. The second part is what I sent you, when it was about a woman saying that she wants to start going back to the gym, and she did, but she has to go at 5 a.m. before the kids and everybody wakes up. Husband was like, oh, you motivated me. I want to start going to the gym. He was like, I'll go after work at between 5 to 6:30.
Which is hell.
And
hell in the household. If you guys don't know, you don't have kids, that 5 to 7 o'clock is like
5 to 8.
World
So the conversation became the woman, no, she doesn't want to wake up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym, but she's cognizant that that's the only time that it will not disrupt the family, the kids, the husband, and everything, and getting them ready. And for her husband to say, like, I will go after work is just an example how most men, not all, or other spouses just don't even consider everything else that's going on in the house and everything else you have to do, because a mom probably would never say, I'm going to the gym at 5 to 6:30.
Yeah.
Because they know, unless it's like you said, you have that agreement, that discussion, maybe twice a week. It's the only time I can go, whatever. But that was kind of like that gender roles, compromise, communication, all in one that she was discussing. It just made me think like, yeah, you're 100% correct.
That reminds me of a conversation that I was listening to. It was a podcast interview. And it was a really good podcast, and I don't want to mention a name, but I'll give the synopsis of it. There was this gentleman, it was like a rise to fame type of thing, from zero to multi-million-dollar, right? Multi-millionaire. Mm-hmm. And I think you might have sent it, or I might have sent it to you.
Okay.
And he was like, yeah, I had kids at a young age, and then I moved across the country, and I had nothing, and I slept on the couch, and I was just grinding and going from couch to couch, and I built this app and built this platform, and I became multi-millionaire. Kind of like a bootstraps conversation. Mm-hmm. And the comment said, that is fantastic, but what happened to the family?
Yeah.
They was like, you were able to get up and move across the country. You were able to pull yourself out by the bootstraps. You were able to sleep on couches. And all that stuff is great, but who was taking care of the family?
The kids.
Who was taking care of the kids? And it was like, the person that you left behind or that you guys split, they are probably taking care of the kids. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I did not even think about that. I'm like, this guy's crushing it. He's killing it. He was, I had kids at a young age. And I was like, but her story wouldn't have been, I had kids at a young age. It's like, I am a single mother and I'm working with my kids and we're trying to go through these pains. Mm-hmm. His story was, I had kids at a young age and I moved on. And I moved. I was like, the whole story was, I moved. It wasn't, I moved on.
He didn't say that,
but you're thinking about it. Once I read through the comments, I'm like, we don't even think about that as a society. It's like a man could get up and just go and do his own thing. And
we all like...
And the mothers were in the comments were like, that's great. That was fantastic. But what about the family? And I think it was on one of my favorite podcasts. And I was like, that would have been an excellent question to ask. And it was like, yeah, once I got older, me and my kids did this. I was like, wait, there was a whole
10-year
gap here.
Wait a minute.
While you were moving from couch to couch, I was like, you can't take a kid from couch to couch.
Absolutely not.
They were probably back home with the parents, or hopefully it wasn't worse than that. Mm-hmm. But we were talking about compromise. And it's one of those situations where there's compromise that needs to be had, and we can't forget that when it comes to marriage. That's the only way this thing is going to work.
I think specifically when it comes to those gender roles, because I think society has put, and we have been built and taught certain gender roles. And, you know, as we say, like, can you not do these things if I'm not here? Can you not do the laundry? Can you not cook a meal? Did you not learn to at least make a breakfast, something? Maybe there's a better cook in the family, sure. But it isn't just, I think the point is, like, it doesn't have to just be the woman or the one person, right?
I think gender roles. I think roles in the house are important, but I don't think gender roles are the roles. So, like, when it comes, roles are important. It doesn't have to be based on a gender. Yeah. So for us in our marriage, right, and we got, like, let's say cleaning is one. We have a cleaning company. They come and clean. But straightening up, I would say I do more straightening up than you.
Yeah.
Cooking should normally a woman's role.
Yeah.
Based on gender, right? Mm-hmm. I do most of the cooking. Now for you, I would say mostly taking care of Alani, making sure she's straight, like the hair, the clothes, the medicine, the doctor's appointments, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like making sure she's fed, making sure she has food, I make sure the house has food.
The house has food, groceries, all that.
So these are roles that are normally based on a gender, but I think it needs to be based on the way household functions. So it doesn't have to be specifically a gender-based role.
Yeah, laundry, those type of things we both do. And then a lot of the mental stuff. So things outside of the household I would do in that capacity. So if there's like, I don't know, if we're meeting up with people or if we're definitely planning a vacation or any events or anything that's outside of the household, then I would keep track of that. Things that you may be like, well, you're not physically working on it. It's more of a mental thing, but you are working because you're constantly like, I got to do that. I got to do that. I got to do that. Did you do that? Did you cancel that meeting? Did you book that meeting?
Yeah.
I told you 3 times, like that. So it is a balance of mental and physical load, I think, that people probably don't consider. All part of that compromise, all part of that communication of things that you have to, like, that I or you would have to do outside of the household and what that looks like.
And your family, if your family has gender roles and that's the way you operate, it's like, yo, men go out and make the money and women cook and clean. That's fine. If
that works for you. If that works for everybody, yeah.
Yeah, I realized I enjoyed cooking. So I'm like, and the thing about cooking is that I get to make exactly what I want, and it's going to be healthier than what.
Well, that's the thing, because you were big on the healthy, and I'm like, I ain't making nothing healthy.
Exactly. So it's like, you know what?
At least 8 seasonings.
We don't need 8 seasonings. So that goes down to we were talking about compromise, and that also includes, I would say, conflict resolution that we spoke about as well. Patience, man. Patience is crucial in marriage. That's a shoot.
Because you're not patient.
You learn patience with kids and you learn patience with marriage because you have somebody else that.
My favorite word is take it easy.
You can't just go and do your own thing. This goes back to also compromising. Mm-hmm. But you, as a single person, you would go out and do whatever you want, when you want. Now, when you bring other people into an equation, when it's a spouse, and then another layer when you bring kids into the equation, oh hell no, you gotta have patience.
Well, you have to have patience as a person first.
Sometimes you don't.
And so that probably makes it even harder bringing everything in, because patience for me feels real easy. Mm-hmm. But then I know for you, sometimes I'm like, take it easy. Like, just take it slow, or let me get it out, or what are you upset about with her? Like,
change takes time. Understanding takes time.
Yeah. And I think it becomes, like you said, really big with kids, because I don't know, they don't have any sense of
urgency.
I don't know. They don't have no sense of urgency, no sense of logic, really, at least at the age that we have a kid at. I know as they get older, but they're just really chaotic. They're all over the place. And so you really have to check in with yourself and how you're reacting and the patience of it. Like, they don't know. And sometimes they may, but they're still going to test you because that's what they do. So just checking in on yourself of like, all right, I need to go take a break. And I think we're both good on that.
And if you don't have kids, patience with that spouse is the same exact thing. Sometimes you may say, I need to take a break, or come back, revisit the conversation, or not right now. So it just depends on where you are. You don't want to come off the wrong way. So having that patience, having that due diligence, taking your time, coming back and realizing that it's no longer, like, it goes back to compromise. It's no longer just you. You guys got to come to a mutual decision. And sometimes you won't. Like, that's fine. Yeah. You got to be okay with that. Mm-hmm. You got to be okay to agree to disagree.
Favorite line, another one.
What?
Let's agree to disagree. I'll be quick to say that because you ain't going to change my mind.
Teamwork. We can get a lot further by having a partner with you, man. Mm-hmm. Like, this life is so hard doing it alone. Mm-hmm. And I know people like, well, we're at the age where you don't need to get married. And I'm all for, especially when it comes to the black households, just having that spouse, having that partner in the house. Raising kids, raising a family, coming together, coming to a conflict resolution, and just being able to say my family is number one, and you're pushing towards a common goal with a partner. Mm-hmm. You're gonna be able to get a lot further faster, at least in my opinion.
Teamwork is everything. I mean,
marriage is a partnership.
Yeah, marriage is a partnership. It's the way that we can help our household function. Like, you do this, I do this. You do this, I do that. We can be doing it at the same time. But like, okay, I'm gonna do the dishes while you sit with her while she eats. And she's done eating. All right, you go bathe her. I'm gonna prepare her room. And it's just about doing it together versus just putting it all on the other person, because then frustrations build up. Mm-hmm. Just for example, like, you go walk the dog if you want. I'm going to stay back and start packing for us. Like, whatever it is, it's just a constant teamwork to get it done. And I don't know how you even operate without teamwork in a marriage. I think that's like I said, I would say right after communication or right along communication, having that teamwork and making it work together so that it makes sense, and doing those, which is something, I don't know if that's something we have listed here, but I think part of teamwork and communication is having those check-ins. We spoke about many times having those family meetings, which we used to have more frequently, I think, when we were paying off our debt. But now it's a once a month thing where we have a family meeting just as a way to check in on everything, which is part of that communication and teamwork, making sure we're still aligned, making sure maybe there's something that neither of us spoke about and we're bringing it to the meeting and we can discuss it there. So yeah, I don't know how else you're operating without doing it as a team and conquering it together.
Learning to collaborate, support each other, and share responsibilities fosters a sense of unity and mutual support. Mm-hmm. That's literally it. Like when you're at work and you have those team projects, I know people hate the team projects because it's like, I got to rely on this person to do this and this person to do that. And I get it. Like, I understand. I'm of the mindset where I could probably get it done a lot better by myself. But if you have someone, we were talking about like opposites attract. And I think I just posted this on our page. I was on a coaching call with somebody and it was like, it's funny. It was one of our 8-week students. Mm-hmm. She was like, you and Janoka are just alike, but you're so different because we had the same answer, but the thought process behind it was differently. And
maybe what we'll say,
and then what we said was different, but the same end result was this. The end result was exactly the same. Mm-hmm. And for example, we were talking about just like I see risk as a way to. I see risk as an opportunity, and you see risk as a way where something could potentially, I don't want to say go wrong, but did you think about it in detail, right? And I say all the time is that I'd be really rich or really poor if I wasn't married to you.
Yeah.
Because I would take all the risk and I would either be really rich or all the risk did not pan out in my way because I didn't think about it thoroughly. So that's where that teamwork comes into play, especially when it comes to marriage, having someone that's opposite of you.
And then just it helps us to transcend it into business as well, right?
Oh, yeah.
So just relying on each other. And then I think you also have put this in the caption, like, you're quicker to trust somebody, and I'm over here, and I side eye them, and I'm like, okay, beginning. And I'm like, all right, let them show us, let them prove themselves, and you're like, let them. You're the opposite of. You would say, give them the opportunity, and let them
prove me wrong.
Prove me wrong, right?
Or prove me right.
And I'm like, let's see. So. And I think we are similar in a lot of ways that I definitely wouldn't consider us opposites at all. Like that we're those people that they say opposites attract. Opposites. Absolutely not. I would not say that about us, but we do think differently with certain situations, and we do respond differently with certain situations, but we still operate as one, right? There is still one band, one sound. There is no like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna do this and not check, not ask my husband, but kind of ask him and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking, or this is what and vice versa. That's not how we operate. And that's what I think helps me to continue to say that marriage isn't hard because of the way that my household is ran.
That's it. That's it. We spoke about conflict resolution. We didn't speak about appreciation and gratitude. So expressing appreciation and gratitude for your partner and the things they do strengthens the emotional connection in the marriage.
And I think that that's important, but can be difficult because you just continue on a cycle. Like you just keep, like the person does it and it's like, all right, cool. So like, you cook and it's like, all right, because you cook.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, it's nice to hear, thank you for that meal. It was really good.
Yeah.
Right? Even though it's like, maybe it's your standard salmon, but sometimes the salmon
I was making salmon tonight. I saw this Instagram recipe. I was going to ask you, should I go get the salmon and make that tonight? Because that joint looks so good. I'm like, I think the family would enjoy this as much as me. Yeah. Now, that is my sign of, that might be my love language.
That's your love language.
I enjoy doing it, and I know we need to eat, and it's healthy, and it keeps us full, and being able to do what we want to do.
But it's important. I do think it's important, but it can get lost because you're just constantly doing it. So I think of like a kid in school. Sometimes when they're like the smartest kid in class,
kind of take it for granted.
Yeah, after a while, I mean, you congratulate them, but you ain't doing it the whole school year.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I just know this person's going to excel. That's what he or she does, and it is what it is. But I would like to hear it sometimes. I would like to feel it sometimes, that, whatever that looks like.
What is something that you feel underappreciated for?
Underappreciated for?
Maybe not under. Maybe you could be appreciated more for.
Sometimes, but I've said this before.
Your business out there. You might go viral for it.
What? It ain't nothing crazy. What the hell?
I knew they wasn't perfect. I know that's what they waiting for.
I didn't say I was perfect.
No, I'm joking,
but sometimes if it can feel overwhelming or underappreciated with working a 9-to-5 and the businesses, because that be whipping my behind as of lately being like 5-6 months.
these last months have been difficult, I would say.
That be
more
whipping
difficult than normal.
My behind. So it's different because with Anthony, he has the multiple businesses that we run and multiple things that happen on the back end, right? But then I have that plus the 9 to 5 and the multiple meetings and everything else that I have to.
And I would say probably taking care of Alani's on top of that too.
And then Alani, marriage, friend, like everything else you still have going on in life, right? So you still have that part of it. And then sometimes we're like, we have conversation with our coaches, we have conversation with people, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Nice.
Thanks.
I didn't realize that. That's appreciation and gratitude right there.
I got this done on Wednesday.
Oh, well, maybe we're recording this podcast on Wednesday. How about that?
It's been a few days. Let's just say that.
We're recording this on Wednesday.
And so I'm just like, I'm just not going to do it. And they're like, why not? You have to do the work. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I do the work. I've been doing the work. But it's hard. But then it's also like, it feels like you're doing everything in a business, right? So how do we balance me having to assist with the business and having 9 to 5? So I don't know if I would say I feel underappreciated there.
It's probably just overwhelmed sometimes.
It is very overwhelming. That part is very overwhelming. I think with Alani, I don't feel as overwhelming because we're both in it to win it, right? Like there is no, only you do her nighttime routine on both of us, or only you take her to the bathroom to potty train, or only you feed her. No, we both do that depending on the day, depending on what's going on, whatever. So I don't feel too overwhelmed with her. And then we also have babysitters that come and assist when we need to do something together. So that really helps as well, that there is a place to take a break as needed when we can, at least.
And so the last one.
What about for you?
Oh, no, I think for me, it's one of those, like, you're the husband. This kind of goes to gender roles. It's like, listen, I got to make it. It has to work or it has to work. So I'm willing to do whatever we need to do to make things happen. So it would be like, all right, well, Alani needs this, or she needs to be potty trained, or we this, or we got to eat food, right? The businesses still have the business. So I just think for me as a husband, I think a lot of men feel the same way. And I've seen this tweet sometimes. It's like, you got to be a husband, you got to be a father, you got to be a nurturer as well. People want you to be emotional. You got to be the CEO, so you got to be an a-hole sometimes. And it's like, as a male, especially in 2020, I mean, women feel the same way, where it's like, you got to be the head honcho or the head bee, right? And you got to do all these things. Queen bee, head bee, whatever they want to call it. But it was like, as a man, you can't be over emotional, but people want you to show emotion and stuff like that. So I would say balancing all the hats would be challenging for me at times, from time to time.
Yeah, it puts a lot of pressure.
And then you also got to make sure the marriage is functional. So I would say just the pressure of societal norms on men, especially men that are providers, especially when it comes to married men. I think it's just challenging from time to time. But I think I'm still appreciative and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to say that, I have a healthy marriage, I have a healthy daughter, we got healthy businesses. And there are people who would, like I told my friend Andre all the time, he's like, yo, you guys have made it. Like, what you guys have is what people are still looking for. Mm-hmm. And if you don't appreciate that, you will always be chasing more and not recognizing what you already have, like in front of you. Right. So that was one of the things he always reminds me every couple months. He's like, yo, Aunt, you don't got to do this. You don't got to do that. You don't got to chase that. And he's like, you already have what you were chasing. You just got to remember that. So I think that's for everyone too. Just looking back, like, we have these jobs, we have these careers, we have these businesses. 5 years ago, you were crying for this. You were praying for this. You stayed up every night for this. And then you have it. Now you want that thing that's 5 years from today, right? And you're chasing that today. So that's what I would say. So
okay. You said there was one more thing.
I would say continue growth. We just spoke about that. Marriage is a journey of growth and learning, embracing new experiences, challenges, and opportunities so that you can enrich your bonds over time. Mm-hmm.
So I think it just brings me to, like, I'm like, yeah, 8 years is a long time, but if you're comparing it, yeah, what I was going to say. If you're going to compare it to 20 years, then no, that's not that long, right? But it is a really long time, and it has flown by. We spent our 8 years in a new city, away from family and friends. Now, what 8 years would look like if we stayed in New York, I'm sure would be completely different. In 8 years, we've, got a dog. Side hustles our way out of $114,000 of debt. We've became millionaires. We got our own home. We have 3 investment properties. We got a baby and another baby on the way. So
multiple businesses,
I think multiple
podcasts,
businesses,
YouTube, Instagram, social media.
Yeah. So I think within our 8 years, I would say job well done. Job well done. Yes, we've had ups and downs. I think our biggest ups and downs was when we lost Tony's best friend. And then a year or 2 later, we lost my uncle, which is more like my father. And then a year after, we went through fertility challenges. So those have been really things that kind of like rocked our relationship just on the emotional side of it and going through that part of it, which I think we could do an episode on that, the emotional side of the fertility journey with both of us. But anyway, that is another side of it, of what 8 years has looked like. But it has been prosperous. It has been great. It has been enjoyable. It has been loving, caring, all of the above. So I don't have no champagne glass, but cheers to 80 more years together, and excited for our
80 more?
Yeah.
Black man only lives to about 70.
That was back in the day. My grandfather is 91 or 2.
So her grandfather
91.
We still have that. We recorded an episode with him. Wasn't the best audio.
It wasn't?
Because I was still learning the mics and stuff. But you could watch it. But anyway,
we never put it out.
He said the reason that he's lived for so long is because he doesn't stress over little things. So guys, take that. If you are thinking about getting married or you want to take anything from this episode, try not to stress over the little things, because that will keep you alive, that will keep you healthy, and that will keep you happy. So
you never know, it could be, but yeah, cheers to us. And thank you for listening.
Hopefully you guys learned something, whether you have a relationship or not, or you're thinking about this. This could be applied to business relationships, friends, family, partnerships, whatever you guys want to apply it to. Mm-hmm. Make sure you guys leave us 5 stars. Leave us 8 stars for 8 years. How about that? Appreciate you guys tapping in and staying tapped into us. More Than a Side Hustle podcast featuring the Heart Dogs.
Have a good one.
Peace.
And happy 8-year anniversary to us.